I finally have a live audience. Thanks, man. Thanks, buddy. Good dog. What's going on? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Tom Bogert, a U.S. national team and MLS insider with The Athletic. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about the January transfer window. Yes, just like most years, MLS players and MLS teams are going to be heavily involved. You know, not quite at the top of the market like the Jude Bellinghams and so on and so forth. But there's plenty of interest and plenty of deals to be made around MLS. I wrote about this at length at The Athletic, and you can go check it out today. But today I'm going to mostly talk about, kind of highlight 5 key players from that article and kind of dive into what's going on and the likelihood that any or all of these players can leave this month. Spoiler alert, not all 5 will leave, but there is a lot going on as a lot of teams are looking into MLS and MLS players to bolster their squads in January. First up is New England Revolution homegrown England Youth International midfielder Noel Buck. He's also eligible for the United States, but he has been representing the England U19s over the last about half a year, and he's firmly kind of in that squad. Look, I've reported this for a while. There's no secret that a bunch of English teams are interested in him. A bunch of English teams want him because he's a domestic player for England, and it makes it so much easier to bring a player like that into the Premier League and register them. You don't have to worry about work permits or anything. I know that Tottenham were interested in him last year. They tried to get him kind of before he broke out. He broke into the Rev starting lineup, by March or April, and by that point his price got too high. The Spurs were trying to, do a little bit of advanced scouting and do a smart deal to get Noel Buck on the cheap. It would have been smart, but New England knew what they had. They were not going to sell before he kind of broke into the first team. Now, again, a lot of Premier League teams are interested. There haven't really been any official bids as far as I'm told. I know Club Brugge are also interested, and I don't believe that they've bid as well. We'll see kind of what happens over the next 12 months. I'm thinking more and more that it's probable that Noel Buck stays at least until this summer, if not the full season. Things can change, but at this point, it seems more likely than it had previously that Noel Buck stays with the New England Revolution. Look, he's in a really great spot. He's going to be playing regular minutes for this team at a high level. Like, the Revs are going to be good again next year. Does it make more sense to go play for, a U21 Premier League team? Because it'd be very unlikely that he would join, even if it was a lower half team, that he would join mid-season in, in a mid-table or relegation battle, that he'd be able to get regular minutes. Or, if it was at the top of the championship, he could probably have a little bit of a better chance walking straight into a team. But, for the next 6 months, if he's playing almost every game for the New England Revolution in MLS at 18 years old, like, that's a really good spot. So I think all parties are they aren't rushing. There's no urgency. Kind of everyone knows that Noel's future is going to be in Europe. It just depends on picking the right option, and whether that means, say, going to a bigger club, again, like Arsenal, Manchester City, whatever, anything like that, and then maybe taking a loan from there to try to continue developing. Or do you just go to a Sheffield, a Luton, a Watford, a Norwich, somebody like that, where it's not a top team and you risk going to the championship, either via directly or via relegation, but you'd be more likely to be a regular player. So these are all kind of the things that Noel Buck and his camp and the Revolution are weighing up. As for price, it's always tough to gauge this. Attackers are much more valuable than center mids, but he's still a very valuable player. For me, I would look at the Tajon Buchanan deal to Club Brugge, which was $7 million plus a 10% sell-on, as a potential benchmark. Who knows? It all depends on if you get a bidding war, the price goes up, or if maybe the bids don't come in, then the price goes down. It's simple economics. It's simple transfer market math. That's no great inside information for me, but I would look at something kind of in that range in terms of price. Up next is Thiago Almada, Atlanta United star, World Cup champion with Argentina. I wish I had something more interesting to say here, but as I feel like now I keep on saying every couple months, same old with Thiago Almada. First and foremost, Atlanta United aren't looking to get rid of him. They understand that he's going to go to Europe at some point, but they are not pushing him out the door. They want to keep him until a bid comes. They've been saving an open spot on the roster for when he ages out of his current designation. Like, they are genuinely serious about wanting to keep him as long as Thiago Almada wants to stay. But it's likely that Thiago is ready to go. It just depends on the timing of a deal, and particularly for Thiago Almada, a player who's going to Atlanta United are going to ask for around $30 million or a package close to that, whether that includes a sell-on or whether that includes add-ons or whatever it is. Atlanta are going to be looking for something, a new MLS outbound transfer record, and the current record is $27 million. Miguel Morone from Atlanta to Newcastle, and Atlanta have every right to be asking for a new league record, given the talent, given the production. He's a current Argentine international. He's going to go to the Olympics as well. His contract's through 2025, so they're under no pressure to sell, really. So it just depends on if the bids come and what's right and who can afford say 25 or 30 million midseason, which isn't that many teams, right? Like we all talk in Europe about this kind of magical land and all the money that gets thrown around at the top end. There isn't a ton of teams that are looking to spend 25, 30 million, particularly in January. I think this would be more likely to happen this summer. Again, Atlanta would be glad to keep him for another full year if they wanted to. Again, like his value isn't going to go down at the Olympics. The only thing that would, potentially harm his value is the closer he gets to his contract expiring. So, like this is an interesting one. In the past, Napoli and Ajax have been interested. Nothing that was like overly serious. Ajax was like, maybe we can get him for 15 million in the summer, and Atlanta kind of laughed about that. And none of that was official communication. That was just kind of back channels, intermediary stuff like, oh, like would you? Yeah, we'd be interested in him. How much? Okay, no, we are not near the same price expectation. So Thiago Almada, a 2023 MLS MVP finalist as well. I'm firmly expecting him to start this season with Atlanta. But again, crazy things can happen. And look, it's the beginning of the window. Teams get desperate. Maybe somebody comes in with a crazy bid, or maybe Thiago himself pushes. But, on January 4th here, my best assumption is that he'll be here until the summer. Duncan McGuire had himself a great year. He went from Creighton in college soccer to MLS to the U.S. U23 national team, and he looks very, very likely to be on the U.S. Olympic team, if not as the starting center forward next summer. It's been quite the glow up for Duncan McGuire. The dude scores goals. He scored goals in college. He scored goals in preseason, and then he scored goals when he came off the bench for Orlando, and then eventually took the starting center forward job from Ersan Kara, of high-priced DP, who the Orlando ended up selling on because they believe so much in Duncan. He's under contract for another 3 years. He's looking for a pay raise, though. He's on probably one of the most team-friendly deals in the league. Just kind of the nature of going through the draft and kind of where his stock was a year ago versus where it is today. These two sides are talking for a new deal. Orlando very much want to keep him. They do not want to lose him, particularly with the knowledge that he's likely going to the Olympics with the United States. But we'll kind of see how those talks go. Blackburn has come in with a couple loan with purchase option bids. Orlando don't have any interest in a loan. It doesn't really suit them very much, and I don't blame them in any way. Like, why loan out your starting center forward before CONCACAF Champions Cup, before the regular season for no guarantee of any money? Like, I can understand their position on that. There's been, the group that owns Lyon and a couple other teams, including Molenbeek in Belgium, are interested, and if that group kind of came through with the money, he would likely go to Belgium, but I don't know if they would come up with the money. FC Nantes in France are also interested, but no bids again. So, look, like, the most likely scenario here is Duncan McGuire stays, probably with the new contract, but, again, with 3 years left on his deal, even if he is underpaid at the moment, there isn't, I guess, 100% guarantee that any of this will happen. And I'd imagine that there's going to continue to be these rumors with or without a new contract, but particularly so without a new contract. Again, this is a center forward who just scores goals. He had 15 goals in 1,900 minutes last year, and he outperformed his expected goals pretty heavily, but he wasn't getting a ton of chances. So while that number usually regresses to the mean, I'd imagine that Duncan's going to keep scoring goals next year, because I think he's going to get more chances, particularly at being the man all season rather than having to win that starting spot. But a divorce for Toronto FC and Federico Bernardeschi, I think, would suit all parties. And let's see if it happens this January. It also suited all parties in August, and no move materialized. Federico Bernardeschi is one of the highest paid players in MLS. Who knows exactly how this one could go. He personally is pushing for a loan move back to Juventus. There's no guarantee that Juventus, definitely want him, if not, like, even kind of want him. He was at the Juventus training facility at the end of November, and he told a fan, I really hope that I come back this January. There's been reports in Italy that he said he's personally doing everything he can to go back. There had been some light links with other Italian clubs for a loan in the summer. I don't know. Again, it just makes a lot of sense for both parties to split here, go in a new direction, start fresh. Bernardeschi said it himself. I probably picked the wrong project. It hasn't worked out. He's clashed with Insigne. Him and Insigne clashed with Bob Bradley. Led a revolt to try to get him fired. On the field, it's been lackluster. In the locker room, it's been even worse. We kind of detailed that in May at The Athletic, including, Bernardeschi being admonished several times for vaping and not listening, in the training facility, on the team plane. There's a lot going on here. He's obviously an extremely talented player. He's still got a lot to offer. He can still play in Serie A. Like, finances is going to be something that dictates this. I'd imagine that Toronto FC would be happy to open up another DP spot and to move on and to start this new era under John Herdman. But as of right now, nothing's done yet. The last player to highlight here is reigning MLS and CONCACAF Champions Cup Golden Boot winner Denis Bouanga. The LAFC star had 38 goals across all competitions last year, leading LAFC to the CONCACAF Champions League final, to the MLS Cup final, winning neither trophy, but he had, a phenomenal season. He's the 23rd highest paid player in MLS, which isn't bad, but he was an MVP finalist last year, and he would like to get paid. His contract, I think, is until 2025. LAFC did not announce the terms of that. I do not know that for sure. So who exactly knows when this contract is up, but he wants a new one. After MLS Cup, he was quoted as saying, "It's a possibility, yeah," when asked if he wanted to return to Europe. I leave that to other people, even if I have years left on my contract. LAFC president John Thornton was taken aback and dismissed it pretty quickly. "Our plan is absolutely he'll be back," he said. "He's on a contract another few years. We never know what may happen, but it's going to be a hugely expensive transfer fee if he's not here next year." For me, I'm assuming that's about $15 million, and for a 29-year-old, that seems unlikely. But clubs in both Saudi Arabia and France are interested in Denis Bouanga. Again, I don't know if the bids will get to where it needs to be. I don't know if LAFC will come in with a new contract or not. They haven't in the past. That's why Chicho Arango left. He wanted a new deal. Mahala Opoku left. He wanted a new deal. They've done this with several players in the past where they kind of have stood on their ground and said, "Hey, we can't budge. If you want to leave, if a bid comes in, we'll let you leave." Again, they don't want to sell him. I don't think that they're going to. There's a small chance. But again, as long as he doesn't have a new deal, this is going to be something that's simmering a little bit underneath the surface. Again, that doesn't equate to a move definitely happening, but it's something. January's already been crazy busy, and it's only January 4th. I appreciate you guys kind of sticking around for this video. Thank you for subscribing. And look, even Melo stuck around the whole time. I thought for sure he was going to get up, but we went on the beach for about an hour this morning, and he was running around, so I guess he's just tired. So yeah, please comment. Tell me whatever the hell you want me to do. I don't exactly know what I'm doing, as it's very clear for you guys to pick up on from the outside. If you notice that the thumbnail looks much better today, rest assured I did not do that. I'm not that talented. So we'll see kind of how that continues if people are kind enough to help with that. So yeah, just a work in progress here. And isn't that part of the fun? Isn't that part of the joy?